I'm Alex Goh of EMC, where we are decentralizing AI computing powers and connecting it with cutting-edge applications. You are tuned into Age of AI, your neural network for groundbreaking discovery in Web3 and AI. Keep your processors cool and keep listening.
Buckle up, AI adventurers. For today's mind bending journey, brace yourself for the AI blockchain fusion that's sending shockwaves through the tech world. Discover the reason decentralized AI isn't just the future, but it's the present. And find out why our guest believes collaboration is the key to feeling alive. Hit the gas and get ready to engage your neural networks.
Welcome aboard the Edge of AI podcast. Snap into your safety belt and prepare to explore the depths of the rapidly expanding AI universe. Each episode is a dispatch featuring hyper-relevant reports from the pilots, pioneers, and passengers aboard the AI rocket ship. We explore the latest use cases and developments in AI, hear from experts building tech, and learn how this disruptive force is transforming industries and society.
I am Ron Levy, and I'm your captain for today's voyage. Like many of you, I've embraced exploration throughout my life, from starting a business before graduating high school to traversing challenging terrains. I've sought out new frontiers, built an award-winning custom home company, and recently founded a public company dedicated to applying technology and training while navigating complex regulations. Today's episode, we have Alex Goh, the visionary founder and chairman of Edge Matrix Computing, also known as EMC, with over 2 decades of experience in tech leadership roles across Asia Pacific. Alex founded EMC in 2022. He leveraged his expertise in cloud services, high-tech portfolios, and commercial operations. Edge Matrix Computing is pioneering the fusion of AI and Web3 technology. As a decentralized AI computing network, EMC connects computing power with AI applications. And this is going to lead us into all kind of conversations about decentralizing and AI, which I think you're going to find really fascinating. Alex, welcome to the Edge of AI.
Hi, Ron. This is Alex. Good to know you.
Fantastic. Well, let's start with what inspired you to merge AI functionalities with blockchain technology. Give us a little background there.
Yeah, so Ron, as you have shared and mentioned about my background, I live in the centralized world, managing businesses for large enterprise like Hero Packet, and my latest and deal was actually with AWS, Amazon Web Services. So those are big giant company that are centralized, controlling everything that we use on daily basis, right? So and when AI emerged in 2022 or the late 21, kind of the open AI come into everybody's daily life, we kind of feel like, hey, everything is controlled. If in the future AI is going to be a threat, and anything in centralization is going to mean that we lost control of everything in our life. So that's kind of what put me into a situation where let's think of something that we could do, at least to provide options to our users, right? So basically, when we talk about Web3 technology, we always relate that to decentralization, the security, the privacy, right? And you own your data, all sort of different contexts or key ideas of Web3. And when you take AI in today's world, if we put that privacy in place and you control what you have been using and allowing that you to be able to take control of your footprint with the AI, that's giving a little bit more comfort of how we will be able to manage our future when AI come into our daily life. So that's kind of the how we started with the ideas and vision of merging AI plus Web3.
Yeah, it sounded like you got that decentralized bug, right? And once you start going down that rabbit hole and realizing how centralized things are and the results of that centralization, and it comes to you that there's actually an option. It doesn't have to be like that. It's hard to shake that study. It's kind of fascinating, right?
Yeah. So back to your point, Ron, there are a couple of key differences, right? When we're talking about centralizations, You used to, if you call back 20 years ago, we used to build huge system, and then moving to the internet era, the 2.0, the mobile internet, everything need to build on a full software stack that need to run on a completely centralized giant infrastructures. I would say that that's how AWS become kind of the leaders and pioneers there. And I've been working on that for a couple of years, servicing different users, customer in the tech industry. When AI started, you kind of moving into a different era where you no longer build a huge stack, and even on the user interaction, it's completely different. Right, you don't really need to have a user interface like a proper website. Probably you just need to have a bot, a chat bot, and calling on data that are sitting, you know, dis- literally across different network, right, or in the internet, right? So AI actually consuming data not on the direct software stack, but it can actually interact with data across different network, right? So it's a completely different ball games, or you would say that it's leveraging a new technologies, and that makes the infrastructures looks different. Meaning that instead of having a centralized way to allowing AI to consume data, you are now having a decentralized options because AI do not need to sit on just one software stack. You can train it, and then it can actually run on edge, right, or like a smaller scale of computing powers, and still be able to run inference, right, and then produce data.
Yeah, it changes everything. The way you describe it, I think, is actually makes it even more fascinating because AI is, I think most of us know now, it's coming to everything, right? Every business, every
Yeah,
concept or idea, quite honestly. So if we're moving away from utilizing softwares on our own server power or even a cloud server for our personal information, that's the way we've been operating. But now the functionality is all going to be at some AI server slash server farm. Depending on which AI you use, it could be with some big centralized company, it could be with a smaller one somewhere else, and it probably is multiple of those, right? If that's the case, and certainly I'm going to want you to correct me if I'm wrong, but if that transition is the case, this is monumental. It's monstrous. And we also know that AI consumes a lot more resources power wise than traditional servers do. And traditional server power is already a problem, right? So that's something that needs to be fixed. And I know your company's working in that direction a little bit. But I think it's important for everybody, whether they're in the tech field or not, to kind of understand these nuances and what's changing. Because if you're operating in the business world or even advancing yourself personally in any respect, understanding this layout and foundation is probably, I was going to use the word critical. That's probably an overstatement, but it's probably very important. Am I going down the right direction?
yeah. So Ron, there are a couple of things that I can share, right, without going into a lot of too technical side of that. um in AI, we particularly talk about two workloads, or I would say like two working environment. One is training, or you need to train the AI. So when you train the AI, there's no way that you can move away from a centralization large server farm, but you could actually work with more on a, what I say that, um, decentralized, meaning that you do not need to work with someone like AWS with all the server farms sitting in one place. So literally, you can train your AI models on different servers in the data centers across the world. So location doesn't matter, meaning that you do not need to just work with one vendor. So you can actually work with multiple vendors. They're having their servers sitting in, whether it's in Europe or in US or in a part of Asia, where wherever that you feel like the cost is the best optimization on the cost. But of course, the taking the Data Protection Act in place, sometimes you have to deal with the GDPR in Europe, so you have no choice. You're training in Europe. But having said that, you do not need to lock yourself down with just one single vendors like AWS in the past, because you are free to train your AI models as as required in different part of the world to give you the best cost of optimization. But that is a part where you need centralization. Centralization in the way that how this server was clustering into one data centers, and that's how NVIDIA has built their CUDA platform, allowing you to have the speed of training for AI models. So we choose to work with different vendors globally, salvaging some unutilized resources in the data centers and putting it together to allowing people to have the best cost optimizations instead of only having the choice of like single vendors, AWS. So that's one part. Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah. So in essence, you're decentralizing AI, right? DAI is kind of the new term I'll use, DEAI, right? So you're
Yeah. Okay, Ron. So back to your question on the decentralization part. So in AI application today, we can actually easily break it into two parts, right? One is the training of the AI models, and that is a part that will require a lot of computing powers, and it's actually very heavy loaded. Most of the large language models actually trains on hundreds of millions of GPUs that they invested. So that's the part where you tend to get into the centralizations. But in our way of approaching these challenges, we actually work with different vendors across the world, where they actually hosted their cluster in different part of the world, but it doesn't owned by one single company like AWS. So it allows you to have multiple options, and it doesn't matter who it's actually owning that particular clusters. The way that it works is you can actually train your AI models in and finding it in the parts where you have the best cost efficient data centers and the clusters, and then train the models. Because it's after you train it, you can probably move the models to other part of the world. So it's more like an options that provide the decentralized that give the cost benefit to the people who train the models. So
yeah.
that's we're talking about training parts. And on the application of AI models, typically we use the word inference. So AI models, after you train it, you can actually run it on a much smaller size of computing power. And in most of the cases, it can actually even run on a laptop or PCs for a lot of AI application. For example, like stable diffusion, who will be used for text to image generation, that you use it to generate a lot of different images. It can actually run perfectly fine even with a MacBook, right? So that gives us a lot more flexibility and options for any of the pre-trained AI models, and then you started to apply it for people to use it. It can actually run on the edge node. When they say edge, meaning that it's actually decentralized, and it could be an individuals who actually sharing the computers for you to use it, the computing power to generate the pictures, or it could be in the data centers. They are really scattering out, but they do have that spare resources, and that's where we get into the harvesting or what we say the scavenging, the idling computing resources in order for people to be able to use it, and it create efficiency in the network, right? So that's how AI actually come to life now, where it do not really require a centralized way, like how we run the stack on one AWS machines and infrastructures. So that's how decentralized will be able to come in to help and to be able to produce much cost efficient way of AI generation.
Yeah, and that's what decentralization is going to be very important to AI, and I know that's your whole mantra, and it's what you've been working on. And I decentralized slash blockchain, right? It's kind of use one word to the other in this concept anyway. And I think it's critical because as you use AI, the other parts of blockchain that actually can be applied are, for instance, micropayments through crypto through the
Yeah.
blockchain, right? Yeah. It can all be, and that might lead us to utilizing any individual's extra storage space they may have to get some micropayments to use that extra space. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so Web3 or blockchain or what we call like cryptos, it's another inventions. It's a great inventions, right? So it's actually run on a fully decentralized way, right? And it well at a major application to that is tokenomics, or what we say the cryptonize, or you tokenize any of your contents, or you can tokenize your payment models, payment system, and it actually blend in pretty well, right, in the latest AI business models. So I'll give you an idea, because in Chat GPT or any of the generative AI, they actually run based on tokens. Like you're consuming tokens, you kind of top up your tokens and then you use the Chat GPT, and you burn down your tokens depending on the numbers of characters or words that you're actually consuming. So it's basically an consumption models that run on kind of a free flow pay. I mean, on demand payment, where the more you use it, then you consume the tokens to use the AI. So that's kind of perfect models when you can actually cryptonize it, right? So it's actually running on token anyway, whether the token is centralized or decentralized. It's kind of blending pretty well with the Web3, which is why you are able to create a business model fully relying on the Web3 versus OpenAI. You're just buying token from OpenAI, which is centralized, right? All the token that OpenAI sold today are centralized, right? You buy it from OpenAI, you top up your account, and then you start using Chat GPT, and then you run down your tokens, and then you need to top up again, and it's getting very expensive without realizing that when you're fully relying on that application and a daily job. Even some doctors is now using OpenAI, and they were, through my discussion with some of the professional, they find that it's getting very expensive. Without notice that when they use it more and more, even on producing, summarize their work, and then sometimes we realize that hey, they're paying a lot for using the AI services.
Would you
Probably
say
that's
this?
yeah. Go ahead, Ron.
Would you, yeah, thank you, Alex. Would you say that the challenges of incorporating AI and blockchain together, is it still at its baby stages, or do you believe it's normalized to a point where it's not?
Well, actually, it's normalized. There's a lot of I say that the features that blockchain offer, like the one that we mentioned earlier, which is token consumption. And token is a native of Web3, right? You see lots of tokens, hundreds and thousands of number of different tokens have different usage. So AI actually use the same context, right? You use the tokens, which is in a much smaller form, but you top it up and then you consume it. So Web3 actually allow you to do that in a completely decentralized way, secure and decentralized way. Because what blockchains actually offer as a features, it's a by default it's a ledgers that capturing all the transaction of your tokens, right? So from generating a token to consuming a token, how you transfer a token from owners to from users to suppliers. Naturally, this is one of the key function and features that Web3 provide. So if you take that particular tokenomics or the models, token models, it applied well and blended well with AI application business model. Anyone who generated or created an AI content that allowing other people to use, they could easily launch their business models with the Web3 tokens that allowing people to buy the token and then consuming it. I think that's kind of came into natural part where AI made Web3, right? So, but in a contradictory way, what OpenAI is doing to build out that business model with a centralized token where everybody is paying to OpenAIs, and now everyone can actually run a simple AI models and business model, launching their own Web3 tokens for people to be able to use it, right? So that's kind of one of the part where I think decentralized AI is bringing new economy context into the
Yes. And so
AI
your
world.
company leverages idle GPU resources globally, as far as I understand anyway.
Yeah.
And how does this approach, how does it benefit the overall computing power and efficiency, both for the use of AI and then for the, for the world as a whole?
Yeah, as I mentioned to you, the application of AI inferences, where you use it to generate, the generative contents through AI, it can actually run on the idling computing power on the network. So how it works, to simplify that, it's when you have an idling computing power, you connect it to the network, and then you're processing AI workload, you receive tokens from people who use that resources to produce or generate AI pictures, which is why like the tokenomics came in place, and that's kind of a natural features that Web3 or crypto is providing, and it's actually work on a decentralized way where nobody control it, meaning that you just have a smart contract to define it, meaning that I have a computing power sitting at my data centers, I just plug it into the network and allowing other people to run their AI models on my computers, on my servers, and then when they completed the AI task, they pay me for the tokens. So the important element here is the tokens become the mediums of transaction between computing nodes providers, those idling computing resources getting utilized, and for users to kind of buy or top up token to use the AI models, and then it got transferred that token got transferred between those who provide services as well as those who provide computing powers.
So,
So
and
we
that's
can
all the
talk
way
about
down to
that
the
more.
it's all the way down to the individual. So if I, as an individual, want to use some of my idle resources that I have and put them there so I can receive these micropayments, I can do that as an individual. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when
Yeah.
you translate that
So
around the globe,
our network, kind of what we are building today, in a nutshell, it's allowing individuals to plug in your kind of unutilized computing resources, idle resources into the network, and then for people to be able to run even down to a very simple picture generation application like stable diffusions, and then generating pictures. So when they generate pictures, they consume tokens, and then the token got transferred into those who provide the resources and the application for people to use. Yeah.
yeah, which is really the goal of this whole thing. It's pretty great, and the I guess maybe what we can hit on is what do you see as the problem with a very centralized AI world?
I think the biggest problems in the centralized AI world is your privacy and your data. So unintentionally, when you're using ChatGPT, you are literally expose yourself. So well, the threat that people has been talking like AI is controlling the world. I think it all started from when we are fully relying on ChatGPT to do a lot of your stuff, right? If you're a professional, use ChatGPT to help you to curate contents across the net, and then you help them to help you to summarize, help you to write your even generating codes, computing codes. You're actually exposing all your personal data and your behavior. So even you use the ChatGPT apps today, you can download an apps on ChatGPT and you can talk to ChatGPT. It's actually capturing your voice, capturing all your footprint. So it could technically generating someone like Alex in the futures. They'll be able to provide, you know, um, something like your behavior, reproduce your behavior or your footprint. So data privacy is just number one priority. And a lot of people just don't aware, right? I mean, you just users will just use it, but
Yeah, it's
eventually,
a
yeah,
lot. A lot of people aren't aware of how much of their privacy they give up all the time, and why it matters. And that's a whole big conversation. We won't get deep on that now. But it was said to me that we give up our privacy and independence one convenience at a time, and that's really the way it goes. I mean, most of us said, "Oh, I'm gonna preserve it all," and then as tech goes in a particular direction, you find yourself compromising and compromising. It's the way it goes. So when you do get in a decentralized version, since there are payment rails, they're not counting on your data to be paid, which is the way this Web 2 system is, then you actually can control it and it'll happen kind of naturally. So I think we're looking at it. It'll be, some time before that's,
yeah,
fully adopted by mass markets and understood, I believe, but I can't wait till that's the case. I think it's really valuable.
yeah. I think there another version of it. Comparing to ChatGPT, you always have a well, actually, in the software world, starting from like in the 1980s, you always have the proprietary software versus the open source, right? So even in today's, naturally in the AI world, it happened the same way. Like whatever the Chat GPT can produce and provide, it's all centralized. So meaning that they capture all your data, you pay through Chat GPT to use the services. It's completely centralized. They get control of all your data, right?
Mhm.
To help to train even a better AI in the future. Okay, that's kind of why they need the data. Actually, to train an AI, you need data. That's why They want you to use ChatGPT so that you can help to train the AI. So that's one way of analysis. And you always have the options of open source. So people like Meta, company like Meta actually open source their Llama 3, and you know, we have to test it yet to be validated. They just recently launched a Llama 3.1, which is their latest model. They claim that it's actually as efficient as the ChatGPT 4.0, which is the latest, commercialized versions.
Right.
With the differences is, if you want to run a Llama 3 models, someone need to come and host that model so that it can run as a services. So it's a bunch of source code and algorithm, but a lot of different software providers to come in and put in and run this open source models in order to provide similar services to as ChatGPT 4.0. So in that open space or kind of open source world, it can be hosted by decentralized cluster, as I mentioned to you, right? So everyone can actually run Llama 3, and we did that. We actually loaded Llama 3 on our edge network as well, and start to use that Llama 3 to run a lot of similar function that what ChatGPT can produce. So meaning that now you have an option of completely centralized, where data is owned by service providers like OpenAI, versus decentralized services where you can Web3 actually provide security on your own data.
Hmm.
Because one of the Web3 technologies that they're pioneering is encrypted and security, meaning that you take control of your data. That's what we always talk about Web3, and allow you to have your own personal data and footprint stored on your own, storage, decentralized storage, where you are the only one that can access to that um, storage, and you choose whether you want to share your data or not, and people will pay you by sharing your data. So that's another way that the tokenomics actually kick in, that allowing you to have that flexibility to monetize your own data if you choose to share it, instead of just passing it to
Giving it
OpenAI
to
to
someone
do.
else, and they
Yeah,
can they're pulling the value out of it. It's
that's always
you
the argument between Web 2 and Web 3.
yeah,
That's why. Yeah,
that's right. And what Web3 is, the word is the future, but it's a lot of work to get from here to there. But it is absolutely
that's right.
happening. You recently wrote an opinion piece for CoinDesk, and it was titled "The Future of AI is Decentralized." Give me an overview on your key arguments against the centralization of AI. I really, I know we hit on it already, but I'm going to quote a little bit from your own article. The preferred future of AI, where it is safe, secure, and above all able to draw on vast computer resources, can only be can only be achieved by flipping the cloud on its head and embracing the decentralized revolution. And I think we pretty much covered it, but I think you stated it really eloquently there, and I think it's a powerful sentence. And the industry needs to really understand that. And the Web3 that you're putting together with AI, it actually has to function seamlessly, right? If it's if it's not seamless, if it's not easy, the masses aren't adopting it. So talk to me a little bit about your product and where you're at with it, and how user friendly it will be for non Web3 crypto people to be able to adopt.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter as a user, right? It doesn't matter whether you're using Web 2 or Web 3. What you care is you have a services that you can use, and they give you
Yeah.
efficient, cheap enough, cost efficient, um, ease of access. Well, all these features are typically for consumers. So when we build our products and stack, we actually provided the infrastructures to start with, right? And then we built that developers platform, allowing developers to come in to build their application. So if you look at a comparative way to look at it, it's just like Apple iOS. You have the review that iOS system, allowing developers to come in to make different apps so that you can get access in app stores of using the apps. So same thing actually happened in our models. We built that developers platform called EMC Hub. It's an ecosystem allowing like different builders to come in to build on top of the infrastructures that we already built. There are a lot of preloaded open source models, as I just mentioned, like taking Llama 3 for example. You can actually get access to similar functions to what ChatGPT is offering, and then you can build your services around that open source models for other people to use. So that's kind of the developers context that we are servicing now, and then we have a launch platform that allowing the train services or the AI services to be able to launch the services to serve consumer. So end of the day, when consumer like you and I as a users using this, it doesn't matter whether it's centralized like OpenAI or it's decentralized like you're using a chatbot in EMC running on the EMC network. What you care is it works, right? But what you also concerned about is the data privacy, and we actually provide that because it's decentralized, meaning that you store in your own with encrypted private keys with the Web3 technologies. And at the same time, you can actually top up token and consuming the token. I want to share a little a new perspective here. Or
Please
when we
do.
say about the decentralized AI beyond technologies, right? So the true decentralized story behind or beyond technologies is how this transforming the economy on a philosophical level. When I say that, meaning that in a traditional way, it's always buyer and seller relationship. In Web3, there's no buyer and sellers. It's literally co-buildings, or what we say that it's beyond just sharing economy. It's actually co-building economies, in a way that there's no buyer and seller relationship. It's everybody come in, contributed to this ecosystem, and then you share the profit or what it generated out of this ecosystem. So a simple way to look at it is when a traditional technology company, you build your services application, you need to rent your computing resources from AWS. That's where AWS make a lot of money. You will need to be able to buy traffic promoting your software through Meta or Google to draw in the traffics and users. So technically, it's a buyer and seller relationship. So before you even make money, you're already paying or consuming. Uh, you're running down on your cash pot and paying AWS services to host your servers, and paying Google's or Meta to run your
Yeah.
marketing campaign. And then user come in, you're converting them, they paid you. So that's a very traditional route, right? It's no magic. But in a decentralized fashion, or what we believe that there will be the pioneer, it's everybody coming together to co-build, meaning that I don't need to pay the computing powers because it's idle resources on the network, but they share the token that I'm earning. So technically, it could be like when every single dollars that my users paid for the services, because it's paid through the token. So the token got, we put a smart contract that distribute that uh, profit or revenue of that token to different parties who all participated in this ecosystem. So meaning that those who provide computing resources, they get part of the share. The smart contract would allocated that revenue or tokens to the nodes providers, and at the same time, the application developers will get part of the share or the bigger part of the share, and then they also allowing the what we call the social fi models or play to earn models, those who actually bring in users, because Web3 is the pioneer of X to earn, right? You do everything, all activities, then you earn some token from it. So it's naturally that you want people to promote your platform. So you'll be able to customize your smart contracts so that part of the profit go into the pool where allowing or incentivize people to bring in new users, and then they share the profit. So decentralized AI in the way we look at it, it's actually beyond technologies. It's a revamp of the entire economy models, right? And at the
Yeah,
same time,
without borders, which is kind of the magic, and without alienating anybody. If you're willing to do the work and open up, you're welcome, right? Doesn't matter
yeah.
who, where, right?
And in our products stack today, we already have a few products. Right? One of the biggest one, it's a app, mini apps called Jarvis Bot. we actually launched that Jarvis bot. It's actually built by our ecosystem developers, and then they build these services. They launch it in Telegram, so you can actually use that Jarvis bot just like using Chat GPT. But when you use it, you're actually providing data, or you're producing data to train the bot. So you earn tokens by using it. But at the same time, when you're consuming or using these services to generate the content you like, you're consuming the tokens, right? So behind the scene, this token, it's what we talk about, the tokenization. So it allowing you to consume the token, earning the token, at the same time distribute the token to all the what we call the co-builders, right? So in this case, there's no buyer and seller relationship.
Right.
So
It's a
Jarvis bot,
smart contract connected. How is there a wallet? Where am I holding the tokens, earning the tokens,
yeah,
spending the
in the
tokens?
wallet. So basically, they hold the token in the Ton in the Ton wallet in the Telegram,
Uh-huh.
right? So Telegram there's a built-in wallet in Telegram today.
Yeah.
So if you use Telegram, there's a built-in wallet, and it run on Ton chain. So they allowing users to simply launch a software or application, just like it's just like launching a mini app, right? And allowing people to be able to use that mini app. And behind the scene, it's actually running on EMC decentralized network. So they don't pay for AWS. They don't pay any
Right.
single dollars to that, but they distribute the token back to this, the node providers who actually give them the computing resources.
Right.
So
And
it's
this
become
Jarvis,
a co-creator, yeah.
yeah, Jarvis bot is available now on Telegram. You can use it.
Yes, it is. It's already crossed 1 million users, registered users in Telegram.
Wow, that's
Yep, over
phenomenal.
six
Well
week,
done.
over 6 week,
Oh
because
my gosh.
Telegram
And
has like 1 billion users, right?
yeah, so
one
there's a
million
long way to go,
is
but a
yeah,
million users in 6 weeks is pretty good. There's a lot of things capturing people's attention, and that's a great number from where I stay.
yeah,
So
and just to share, there are lots of application, but there's a couple. It's a usage models, right? So it allowing people to come in and build, being innovative, and the other like small project that we are just working on today, it's another type of bot, but helping people to curate like news, curate contents that they like across that, and they're using Jarvis bot to do that
mhm.
instead of OpenAI. So originally when they built that, they used ChatGPT, and that is a service that you need to pay for if you commercialize it, because that's how you consume token. That's how OpenAI make money, right? You
Yeah,
use the
makes sense. Yeah,
ChatGPT, and then so whatever the services that you're offering, you're actually literally you're working for ChatGPT because you're paying that for that
which
services.
but it means they own the file cabinet, right? For all your data and your files and everything you've got, it's
Yep,
under their control. Not
that's right.
not suggesting they would decide to shut it all down one day, but they have the power to if they decided that. And
Yep,
that's an exposure that's not optimal.
yep, that's right. The option that we are providing today is through open source, right? They use Llama 3, as I mentioned, Llama 3, Llama 3.1. This is just one of it, right? You have people like Elon Musk trying to do another version of Grok, which is their own large models. But yeah, technically, you have open source model today, and you have the Web3 technologies that help to protect your data. So meaning that the whole economics of the equations is changes. It changed, right? So as a developers, I can now easily develop a software and then I launch it without having to worry about whether I have the money to buy from AWS. Now I can just launch the services on EMC network, and then I share my profit to the stream. That's the beauty about Web3, which is the tokenization, the tokenomics, and it blended pretty well with the AI application because naturally that's how the business model work, right? It consumes token. So you think
Yeah,
of it this
it's
way, Web3 and AI, it's kind of come along, right?
yeah,
Pretty naturally.
yeah. Oh, without any doubt, it's AI is the killer app to blockchain is the way I've heard it said that I really like. Um, I think it makes a lot of sense. I want to go. You're obviously very technologically versed, but you've also built a significant company. Let's go to your resume just a little bit. If we can just touch on some of the job experiences you had that led you to this.
Yeah, so I started, my early career is 15 years. I worked for large enterprise. I'm the, one of the, yeah, I had multiple executive role with Hewlett Packard Enterprise and Dell Technologies. Those are the big two
So
companies that
HP
spent
and
15
Delta, so certainly traditional
Yeah,
computing
15 years.
companies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I run different businesses across different parts of the world, and heavily involved in hyperscale computing, where they run one of the business unit on that, which is now is the foundation of running all the AI, the GPUs,
Hmm.
right? So that's hyperscale computing on the early days. So I was a VP of hyperscale computing, running the Asia Pacific at one point of time, and that's how my early careers, and then I did my startup. So I started I co-founded a cloud company um, in about 10 years ago now. But at that point of time, building a cloud company is so expensive. You need to have a
Hmm.
lot of fun, continue to build infrastructures. That's
Which
why
never
when
stops.
it never
That
stop, and then you
process
just
never
keep on
stops.
burning money, right? And which is why you only have the winners takes all, like
Yeah.
AWS, right? Microsoft. Those
Yeah.
are heavily supported by their own application.
Yeah.
So if
And
you're going to build everything from scratch, so the large top three cloud company, Microsoft, AWS, and Google, they all have their own application. They're consuming their own cloud anyway, right? So that's kind
yeah.
of how they get that economy of scale. So doing a cloud startup on early days, it doesn't work because you just don't get access to all the capitals that you can continue to build on infrastructures. Which is why when I start building this project, and then no, well, because I did not success in my first startup, it pushed me to work for AWS because I still love cloud. I believe cloud is the future. So I choose to work with AWS, kind of to learn that, to understand how this whole thing works, right?
Yeah.
And then you start to realize that it's just getting bigger and bigger. There's a dangers of when they're controlling 50% of the market, and then I start hearing a lot of my customer complaining about the bill.
Hmm.
So they got locked down. Well, they pay a lot of money, hundreds of millions for some large enterprise every year to AWS just to use the services, and then people start regretting, hey, why should I do that? How come? Why I can't just build myself? So there's a transition from building your own to using a cloud where everything becomes so easy. You just plug and play without need to worry about managing that whole
Sure.
infrastructures. Into now, what we are seeing, my envisioning is, hey, we need a decentralized version when AI come in place. But building a decentralized cloud, it's hard because the whole stack that I just shared, you need to run everything, the whole stack. So the architectures doesn't allow you to completely decentralize it because you run your application. Like you can't run a Facebook services on decentralized. It doesn't work because everything had to come into like what big giant supercomputers, right? But AI is different because AI it's kind of a new era where the business model is completely transitioning, right? And if you're building an AI startup based on any open source model, meaning that you can actually run it decentralized because the open source model allow you to load it on decentralized network, right? And then you just need to continue to build on top of it to build an application that really people use it to work, right? This is kind of the journey that we have gone through. So in the project that I'm fronting today, we started with building a decentralized network. Then we put on top a developer platform, make it easy for developer to come in and build, get access to the computing resources, cheap and efficient. And then when they complete building their services, they launch it in Telegram, or even they can launch their native website. It doesn't matter. People use the services, and then they just get paid, and then they share their profit through their tokenomics.
Yeah. It's just
That's
gonna.
kind of just one go. Yeah.
It's sort of, opportunities abound is really what's happening. We're going to jump over to getting to know you a little bit personally here. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. They're quite different than the AI and business questions I've been asking you. They're really about you personally, just so people
Mm-hmm.
get a feel. So quick answers, whatever comes to your mind quickly, and we'll run right through them. You ready?
Yep.
What's the
I'm
first
ready.
thing you ever remember being proud of?
While being the youngest executive. in my career.
Fabulous. Quick question. How old were you?
I'm in 40s. Yeah,
No,
mid
no,
40s.
at that time when you said
Oh,
youngest,
27. I was
27
in,
years
I
old.
was mid directors of with Dell at the age of 27.
Fabulous. Well done. Next question. What do you need help with that you wish you did not?
Um, all right, quick response. I wish that I could build everything with my own money without need to raise fund because you need to answer to the investors, and I got questions by investors. Yeah, I wish that I could have built everything with my own fund.
Well, I think that's powerful for those of us that have been in business and raised money and done all that. It really rings true. Completely understand. What is it that others often look to you for help with?
Um, they need the service to be cheapest possible, that and affordable.
Hmm. Okay.
So service need to be as cheap as possible in order for other people to use it. Which is why I want to make this the services we are providing today the cheapest possible comparing to the traditional way of getting the same services.
Well done. That's going to be appreciated by all that are able to build on it, which includes some of the products you talked about earlier that are already in use. So we're going to go to the next question. What do you treasure most about your human abilities?
Mm, wow, that's a tough question, but
Yeah,
I treasure that well, the biggest thing that I like about myself is always stay positive. I believe in the futures. I believe that the best is yet to come.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there's always better futures.
That keeps you strong. So I completely concur.
No,
Throughout
you
your
go
whole life.
through up and down, but you go through up and downs every day, right? I mean,
Yeah,
there are good day, bad days, but I'm a person that always believe that the better is yet to come.
yeah.
So the futures, yeah.
If you didn't have a bad day, you wouldn't have anything to measure the good days by. So um, throughout your whole life, what is the most consistent thing about you?
Um, I stay focused and stay on my cause in
Okay,
every part of my job.
and what has changed the most about you throughout your life?
Um, my belief changed, meaning that you know, I was working with a large enterprise, and my voice is it's pretty cast in stone, right? You're just like one of the executive, one of the screw in that large machine. But now, when I start building my own, I believe that the future stimulus, the innovations, I want people to be able to come in to build together. That's the biggest changes, and I choose to open up everything, meaning that I don't want to own anything. I want people to come together, build together, and that's the biggest changes.
That's Web3. You
Yeah.
found home, that's for sure. So when most recently do you remember feeling alive? That sort of feeling we all get. Sometimes you don't even know why it shows up, but you feel very, very alive. When's the last time you remember feeling that?
No, I'm always alive, right? So every days that wake me up is the dreams, because we always see that the new futures, right? The whatever you're building, there's always new ideas clicking, and that's just the part that I enjoy the most, right? When you open up, and then people come in, there are always different people, different founder approaching me and say, "Hey, let's work together. I have these great ideas, and we want to work together with using a platform." That's keep me alive.
Yeah, that kind of collaboration is just there's just nothing like it. What do you see as your most unique trait?
Unique trait. I don't get a question, Ron. Pardon me about unique trait. What is it referring
Unique,
to?
the most unique thing about you in particular. What do you see? What's your opinion that is the most unique thing about you?
Ah, okay. So if I would have recalled it, the unique thing about me is I always find things that I'm on learning. So when I say that, because I had the ability of learning on the fly.
Uh-huh.
So that gave me that unique ability to be able to do things uh, much faster without need to. Well, I'm not saying mastering it. I'm just giving an example. I do not need to learn how to be a chef to be able to cook, but I can literally look at the dishes and then try to reproduce it. Some of the unique capabilities, it's like you observe it and you kind of be able to re-engineering on your mind, and then you just try to do it. I think that's probably something very unique about myself. And that's another downside of it. Just to share a bit, because this is a good question, and I always get that feedback. I believe things is so easy to get things done, and but it's not, because not
Right.
everyone is like me. And so
Mhm.
that's kind of sometimes that I put pressures on people around me and say, hey, this is so easy. It doesn't sound to be, but in fact it's not, because
Yeah.
not everyone has the ability to be able to quickly adapt and reproduce the result.
Yeah, and the good news is we're all different. The thing that you might want them to do that's difficult for them, they're going to bring
Yep.
something else up that counterbalances. We hope anyway. It's the way it's supposed to be. So, you know, spoken as a true leadership guy, you've been there, you've done it, and that was lesson learned for sure. It was very very clear. Let's talk about any leaders or influences that you've had around AI and building your company. And this is for the benefit of our listeners. Is there anybody that has really influenced you that you'd like to share who they are, so that our listeners can follow them as well?
Well, I actually admire Elon Musk, the way they look at, you look at how Elon Musk was involved in the earlys of building this open AI, and then he start to figure out that things start to get centralized. They try to monetize it and control it. So he's kind of starting his own um, version of another new open AI. This philosophy here is like, you can't have a technologies, especially these important technologies of the futures, owned and controlled by uh, anyone or anybody. So you need to be able to open it up. And one fact is, well, he's not only saying it, he did open up all his technologies, open source his technologies on the EV car, the electric car, so
Mm-hmm.
that now you have the world where everybody can produce electric car. So what is the result? It's you actually continue to you draw down the cost, right? Um, so it's a good and bad. So he allowing more people to participate in the industry, which is why today you have this EV industry, electronic vehicles industry, is now so advancing. um, I think it's because of its generosity of opening it up. So I think it apply to AI as well. If you are open source, your algorithm, your base models, it just allow a lot more innovations to happen, and everybody can come in now to be innovative without need to rebuild that wheel.
I
That's
think
what
that's
I
pretty,
admire about. Yeah.
yeah. No, that's what came to mind for you, and I think it's pretty powerful. Elon has become legendary, right? He gets even other industries he's gotten into. He's done that. He open sourced all the information that every other corporation would have just held on
Yep.
tightly to and owned. He puts it out there, and there's a lot of reasons behind that. But one is self confidence, right? Self contentment. It's like
Yeah.
I'll make mine work. Maybe you'll make me work harder. Go for it. So it's what you described, and I kind of really like it. Is there? Tell me for things for our listeners that they can actually use that they may not know of, and this includes some of your products. So tell us a few AI products or places for our listeners to actually start using.
Yeah. I mean, I try not to promote in our conversation here, right? But they can actually find out more about our project on our website, which is EMC hub.ai, EMC Hub. That's kind of the platform where we launch it as an ecosystem. So there are a lot more different application area, and they can get access to a lot of open source AI models that's already preloaded in our network, meaning that we already done all the heavy lifting. They just need to come in, look at the models that are available there, and then they can pick and choose the models and start building your own project, right?
I mean,
I
that's
think,
super useful. So
yeah,
EMC as an edge matrix computing, right? So what's
yeah.
the rest of that URL? EMC, what was it?
The simple one is EMC Hub, HUB. Hub as in we put everything
HUB
together.
as in boy, hub. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
EMC Hub
EMC
dot
hub
AI dot
dot
AI.
AI.
Yeah,
Okay, great. Now that's good. That's I don't consider that as much self promotion as helping people getting involved and being able to start using things and learn. So
yeah,
I'm all for that, and I thank you for sharing that. Is there any other place they should go to follow you and what you're up to, or is EMC Hub
yeah.
dot
They
AI
can
the
follow
place?
me. They can follow me on my Twitters, which is the handlers is Goh Alex and A A as in Alexa. I mean, I use that.
Mhm.
So it's in. They can follow my handlers, so they can even follow my our protocol, EMC protocol. That's our main handler in Twitters. Um, yeah, they can find us. We have a lot of very active communities on Telegram group. They just need to search for EMC protocol on Telegram. And one interesting, if they want to experience like mini bots, like the AI bot that I've just shared, we actually launch a bot in apart from Java's bot, which is a product. They can actually just find a friend, like you're searching through Telegram, EMC dash LLM. That is a mini bot that you can actually add as a friend and pull into any of your chat group. It can work like your personal secretary to
Mm.
help you to summarize. Use it just like a bot of your that can helping you to find informations. Yeah, so we just try to build something that easy for people to use.
Fantastic, Alex. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time here, and you've been absolutely fascinating. Congratulations on what you've built, and I look forward to what's to come from you in the future.
Thank you, Ron. We'll continue to work hard.
All right, it's time for another safe landing at the outer edge of the AI universe for today. I'm your Captain Ron, and on behalf of our guests and the entire crew, I'd like to thank you for choosing to voyage with us today. We wish you a safe and enjoyable continuation of your journey. When you come back, bring a friend. Our starship is always ready for more adventures. If you're listening, go to Spotify or iTunes right now, rate us, or say something awesome. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and pass this episode on to a friend or two. Your support and feedback mean the world to us. Don't forget to visit edgeofai.xyz, and you can learn more about partnering and subscribe to the Outer Edge newsletter. That's for the latest things that the Edge of company are doing, events, show drops. In addition, connect with us on all the major social platforms by searching for Edge of _AI, and you can join all the conversations happening there. And before we sign off, mark your calendars for our next voyage. We'll continue unraveling AI's mysteries and advancements. And until then, bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed on Edge of AI reflect solely those views and opinions of the show hosts and its guests. Please make sure to do your own research. While we make every effort to ensure that the information about AI technology is accurate and up to date, we cannot guarantee its accuracy, completeness, or timeliness. We make no representations or warranties of any kind with respect to the information, products, or services discussed. Please be aware AI may occasionally generate incorrect or misleading information and produce offensive or biased content. Under no circumstances shall we be liable for any loss or damage, including, without limitation, indirect or consequential loss or damage, or any loss or damage arising from loss of data or profits arising out of or in connection with the use of technology discussed on our podcast. Additionally, our show is not financial advice. You understand that you are using any and all information available on or through this podcast at your own risk. Whenever making financial decisions, we recommend doing your own research and talking to your accountant for financial advice. Lastly, time to time, we may feature sponsored content on the show for which we receive value, and we may share links for which we receive a commission if you make a purchase through one of these links. Refer to our website, edgeofai.xyz, for our full disclaimer, terms and conditions, privacy policy, and copyright notice.